Hi everyone, a warm welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to learn how to appear for AWS certification and what are the different certificates that are offered by AWS. Now, if you look at this slide, we can observe that there are 12 certifications have been listed. Yes, of course, AWS offers currently 12 certifications, and that 12 certifications are segregated into 5 different tracks. The first track is fundamental track, and the second track is architect, and the third track is operational, and the fourth track is developer, and the fifth track we call it as specialty. Now if you look at these tracks, the very first certification that we need to take is under the fundamental track, which we call it as a cloud practitioner, AWS certified cloud practitioner. It's a fundamental certification and it's pretty easy certification. Many people appear for this certification as their first step in their cloud career. So if you look at the fundamental, they call it as a foundational certification, means the AWS officially they call it as a foundational certification, and the prerequisite for taking up the certification is minimum of 6 months of a cloud knowledge or an experience that a person should hold in order to take this certification. But the fact is, people who have minimum of knowledge on the cloud can appear for this cloud practitioner because it's pretty simple. The only thing that we have to focus on here is we need to understand how many services are there in AWS, means the cloud services that are offered by AWS, and we need to understand their usages and when to use those services and how to use those services. But technically we are not going to have much of in-depth of assessments on this cloud practitioner, but we are just going to have the fundamental and the basic level of questions. So people who have a base knowledge on the cloud platform and having some base knowledge on AWS environment can sure prepare for the certification and take up the certification as their first certification in their AWS cloud career. The second track that we have here is architect, and under the architect we have solutions architect associate, and we have solutions architect professional as well. But let's go with the associate tracks. So if you see on the associate track, we have solutions architect associate and sysops administrator associate and developer associate. So horizontally you can look at the associate level of certifications that are offered by AWS. So once after a person who appeared for the cloud practitioner can look out for any one of these associate certificate. It depends on the track that a person is going to work on. If a person is going to work on architect level, then probably a person can look for taking up solution architect as a certification next to cloud practitioner. Or if a person is working on sysops, then probably he or she can look out for taking up an sysops administrator associate. Or if the people are working on developer track, then probably they can appear for developer associate. But after the cloud practitioner, the next immediate certification that we can look forward is associate certificates. But any one of the certificates we can appear for, but that depends on the domain that we are going to work on. So for associate, what AWS says is 1 year of experience solving problems and implementing solutions using AWS cloud. Yes, of course we need to have 1 year, minimum of 1 year of experience, but the fact is we should hold minimum of 2 years of experience, strong experience, in order to successfully complete this associate track of certifications. So the people who are from the developer background, then they can look out for developer associate, and he or she should have worked on AWS environment in terms of developer perspective. So only then we can have more confidence in appear for these certifications. The complexity level is higher when compared to a cloud practitioner. It needs a lot of preparations before we appear for these certifications. The next horizontal track, if you look at, is professional, and in the architect layer we have Solutions Architect Professional, which is more advanced certifications, and it's very complex certification. And on the operations and developer combined together, there is one certification that is offered by AWS that is called as DevOps Engineer Professional. This is advanced certifications compared to associate. It's more complex, and we need to have minimum of 2 years of experience, but actually 2 years of experience is not sufficient because the level of complexity is pretty high. So we need to really have 3 to 4 years of strong experience on either of these domains to appear for this certification. So if you are more of architect, if you are towards solutions architect experience, you hold a solutions architect experience, and probably you can look out for this professional track after you appear for the associate. So the scope is like this: a person who appeared for the cloud practitioner can go for solutions architect associate, and from there you can also climb up to the solutions architect professional if you are going to stick to the architect layer, architect domain. But if you are going to look forward in the operations, you can go for SysOps Administrator Associate, and then immediately you can climb up to the DevOps Engineer Professional. Even the developers who have completed the Associate Certificate can also climb up to the DevOps Engineer Professional. This single certification is combination of both operations and developers domain. So there is a single advanced professional level certification that is offered by AWS is DevOps Engineer Professional. So what exactly professional certification offers is we need to it actually tests on the comprehensive experience on designing, operating and troubleshooting solutions using AWS Cloud Platform. So as I said, the complexity level is also pretty higher. Now coming to the specialty track, there are 6 certifications. So what is exactly specialty? Specialty certificate is something very specific to the domain that you're going to work on. So it could be a data analytics, or you might be coming from the networking background, or you might be closely working on database, or you might be a machine learning developer, or you could be on the security domain, or you might be even coming from an SAP background. So if you are a database experienced person, then probably you can straight away look out for the AWS certified database specialty, because your core work experience is on database, and probably you'll be doing a lift and shift of the database from the on-prem to your AWS cloud environment. So in that perspective, you need to hold AWS certified database specialty certificate, because you are more specialized on database environment. So you should have worked much closer on the AWS RDS platforms, or it could be more of a database related platforms from the AWS perspective. So you can appear for that certificate, and that is called as a specialty certificate. Of course, yes, specialty is also highly complex, but it's more specialized, so that you will have more confidence in appearing for the certification, because it's more closer to your experience that you have. So if you are coming from an data analytics, then probably you can look out for a data analytics specialty certificate on AWS, and if you are from ML, then probably you can look out for AWS certified machine learning specialty. Now what exactly happens on SAP on AWS is, now we are shifting the SAP to AWS. They are moving, migrating the SAP environment to AWS. Many organizations have started to migrate SAP on AWS. So if you are a specific SAP experienced person, you should know how to migrate them into the AWS environment, and what are the tools and services that need to be used in order to migrate them successfully into the AWS, and how to maintain those migrated environment of SAP on the AWS, which you need to hold as an experience in order to appear for this certification. And it is widely recommended certification for the people who are coming from the background of SAP. So if you look at this, the specialty certificate is more focused on the experience that you have on the specific domain. So technical AWS cloud experience in the specialty domain, right? So all certifications we cannot appear for, but it depends on whether we want to go for database specialty, or we want to go for ML specialty. You can decide accordingly and appear for that certification as well. But the order of certification, in which order that we can take the certification, that's what which we need to look out for. So the first thing is a foundational certification. So if you look at the foundational certification, the very first certification that we have is cloud practitioner, as I've already mentioned, and then we have the second and third and fourth certification which we can appear for. So the second certification is AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, and the third certification is AWS Certified SysOps Administrator Associate, and the fourth certification is AWS Developer Associate. So if a person wants to appear for all these certifications, then probably you need to look out for this order. And the fifth certification is Solutions Architect Professional, and then you can move on with DevOps Engineer Professional as well, which is number 6. And the rest is all on the specialty, so you can decide on which order you want to take for. So I just mentioned generic order, which is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So totally we have 12 certifications in this, and the order is mentioned according to the AWS recommendation. So the first certification that you can appear for is Cloud Practitioner, and from there you can move on with Architect Associate and SysOps Associate, Developer Associate, and go with Solutions Architect Professional, and then go with DevOps Engineer Professional as well. So the specialties you can pick on your own ordering, so in which order you want to appear for. So a person who wants to appear for all these certifications can look out for this order of chart that's been defined here. So here comes a briefing about each certification. So the Cloud Practitioner Foundational is going to validate on your basic AWS Cloud fundamentals. So this certification validates cloud fluency, foundational AWS knowledge. And if you look at the developer, the certification validates the ability to write and deploy cloud-based applications. So you're basically from a developer background, so you need to know how to write code and deploy them successfully into the AWS environment. So you'll be using most of the developer related services and tools of the AWS environment. So that experience if you have, then probably you can look out for this developer associate certificate. The next is Solutions Architect. As I said, it's a little complex from the architect perspective. It's an associate level. So this certification validates the ability to design and implement distributed systems on AWS environment. So basically what happens here is we are going to be the solution provider, and we need to know much of knowledge on all the AWS services that are offered, so that we can able to define a proper solution for a specific implementations on AWS. So that's what Solutions Architect Associate is all about. And the next is SysOps Administrator. And if you look at the SysOps Administrator, this certification validates the ability to deploy, manage and operate workloads. So it's more of deployment and managing those applications on the environment, and also we need to operate on the continual workloads that's been deployed on the AWS. So it's more of the operations related environment. So person who's having more of that experience can appear for this certification. Moreover, he or she should have worked on that services of AWS. Only then you can appear for that certification. AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional, as I said, it's more advanced certification. It's more complex as well. So this certification validates the ability to automate the testing and deployment of AWS infrastructure and applications. So you'll be working more closer with the entire AWS infrastructure and also the applications, and you'll also be the solutions provider for it. So you need to have more intense knowledge on that specific area. If you look at the Solutions Architect Professional, it's more of design, deploy and evaluate. So it's more similar to the Architect, Solutions Architect Associate certification, but from there it's much advanced and it's more of scenario based, it's more of use case based. So they will be questioning more on high-end use cases, real-time use cases, and we need to figure out what could be the best solution that we can offer for that use cases. So these certifications are really going to be a nightmare. So we need to have loads of preparations, and we need to have minimum of 3 to 4 years of strong experience on the architect level. Only then we can appear for the Solutions Architect Professional. So the next is all lined up with the specialty certification. So we have advanced networking, as you know, if you are coming from the networking background. So it's more of designing and maintaining the network architecture internally with the AWS services. And database is all about working with AWS related database services. And we need to recommend which database platform that we can go for. We need to design the entire database implementations, migration of databases, and lift and shift of data into the AWS environment, and also working on the optimal maintenance of the databases, and provide a specific AWS solutions relevant to the database environment. The next is all about data analytics. So coming to the data analytics, we'll be working closer with the AWS data lakes and analytics services that are offered by AWS. So people who are coming from data analytics and working more on data, you're manipulating more on data, you're going to work closer with the data, and you're going to work closer with the data lakes within the AWS and analytic related services that are offered by AWS. Then probably this will be the specialty certification that you can look out for. The next is machine learning specialty, where we have building and training and tuning the machine learning codes and deploying the machine learning models on AWS, and what are the services being used for that. So if you have more experience on that, then you are relevant to that particular specialty certification and you can appear for it. So if you are more closer to the security, securing the data, securing the environment, the workloads on AWS cloud, then you can look out for security specialty. The next is all about SAP on AWS, as I've already mentioned. So if you are designing and implementing and migrating the SAP workloads from your on-premises to your AWS environment, then you need to look out for the services that are offered by AWS for successfully migrating the SAP on AWS, and what are the services being used, what tools have to be used, and what would be the right solutions that we can propose for migrating the SAP from on-prem to your AWS environment. So if you have such knowledge or relevant knowledge, then you can appear for SAP on AWS certificate. So the next is on a whole, if you want to become a cloud architect, then what are the certificates that you can appear for is what is lined up. So I've mentioned something like optional, mandate, and needed, and recommended, right? So if you look at the mandate means it's must to have that certification in order to claim yourself as a cloud architect. So if you look at it, it starts with cloud practitioner, but that becomes optional. Solutions architect, because it's a cloud architect, so you need to hold mandate as a solutions architect associate certificate. This is an associate track, so you should mandate have that certificate to claim yourself as a cloud architect. And then developer associates, SysOps associates. If you look at developer associate, becomes needed but not mandate. SysOps administrator is recommended. So needed is something which you can appear as a next certificate after you appear from the mandate perspective. So needed is also must, but you can look out for that certification after taking up the mandate one. Recommended is like you can have that certification as an recommended option. So you can also consider that as a certification that you need to appear after taking up the needed one. Optionals are something stays as an optional, so you can see if you really need those certifications for your work environment, and accordingly you can appear for it. Anyway, security becomes a mandate wherever we go for. So we have kept this security as an optional under the cloud architect. And the advanced certifications under this track is solutions architect professional. As I've mentioned already, that this is one of the complex certification, and it's quite biggest nightmare to appear as as per this particular certification, and this is also needed. So there are two needed certifications, one mandate. So you can go for mandate, needed as a next steps, and then go for recommended, and then you can see taking up optional as well. But cloud practitioner becomes the first certification, so it's good to have that certification taken first, but you can skip the certification and you can straight away go for this mandate also. Okay, so this is optional only. So there is no prerequisite that whether we need to appear for this cloud practitioner to take up solutions architect. No such rules from AWS perspective. You can appear any certifications at any time, so there is no specific prerequisite for that. So the next track that we can look out for is a cloud developer. If you're a cloud developer, then you look out for taking up a mandate certification on developer associate, and then you have architect as an recommended, SysOps administrator as recommended, and DevOps engineer professional, and cloud practitioners becomes optional here. The mandate for holding a cloud developer tag is AWS certified developer associate, which becomes a mandate, and then you can go for the recommended options as well. So the next is we have DevOps, cloud DevOps engineer. Then probably the mandate option, as you all knew that we have to start with SysOps administrator associate, and developer associate is also mandate for that because we have both dev and ops involved in it. So we need to take mandate as a developer and SysOps administrator, and recommended needed is DevOps engineer professional, the next advanced certification that you can look out for. and the recommended is solutions architect associate, and optional stays practitioner. So in all the areas, the cloud practitioner stays optional and it's not mandate. The next is security. So for security, you need to take the mandate as security specialty, and then you have associate architect and sysops administrator associate becomes needed, and advanced networking specialty and cloud practitioner becomes optional. The reason we go for advanced networking is because we are relied on the security environment, so we need to have knowledge on the advanced networking implementations as well. So that is also kept as a package in this security as optional. So these are the recommended certifications under the security layer, but the mandate one is security specialty certificate. The next is data ML. So if you look at it, involves with data and machine learning. So the mandate becomes database specialty, data analytics specialty, machine learning specialty. So you go in this order: database specialty first, data analytics specialty, and then go with machine learning specialty. And needed is solutions architect associate and developer associate, and solutions architect professional stays optional, and cloud practitioner stays optional. So the next final tag that we can have on the AWS cloud is the professional. That is the highest tag that we can hold. So if you want to become an AWS professional level grade, then probably all certification becomes mandate except the SAP on AWS. So SAP on AWS certificate is not included in this list because that is only an optional thing, and that is required only if you are going to work closer with the SAP environment. But other than that, all 11 certifications, so starting from cloud practitioner till the solutions architect professional, including the specialty certificate, the 5 specialty certificate, because the one is SAP on AWS which is excluded here. So keeping all certificates intact, you need to make sure all these certification becomes mandate if you want to become the final role holder of AWS professional grade. So this gives you a clarity on which certification we need to appear for which grade in the cloud career, right? So the next important discussion that we need to see here is the details of the certification. So if you look at the cloud practitioner, it's a foundational level. Number of questions asked is 65 questions, and it is a multiple choice and multiple responses, meaning is you will be having multiple choice questions where you need to choose single response for it, or there might be multiple responses also. So for a single question, you might be asked to answer 2 or 3 options for the same questions. So all certifications will have this format of multiple choice, multiple responses. So time minutes is 90 minutes plus 30, which is ESL. So ESL is English as a second language, and cost of exam is $100 for this cloud practitioner. And the delivery is, you can appear the certification either going to the Pearson VUE certification centers in person physically, or you can take it online also sitting from your home. But advisable is go to the testing centers so that they will take care of everything hassle free. You will not have any stress, so everything will be taken care by them. If there is any problem in the network or any problem in the while taking up the exam, it will be taken care by the testing center itself. So nearby you will be having multiple testing centers, so you look out for the Pearson VUE testing centers, and there you will be able to take up this certification. But if you have a good environment at your home, so or in your organization you have a better environment, then you can register for the certification and you can book a specific date online, and then you can take up the certification. So it's an online proctored, meaning is for the entire minutes, 90 plus 30 minutes, there will be a single proctor who will be sitting and monitoring you remotely on taking up during your exam time, and your entire environment should be pretty clean, and they will be asking you to showcase your entire environment through your laptop camera, and they will be evaluating it, and only then they will be making it possible to take up the exam. So instead of having that kind of complex steps, it's better you can go for the testing centers, and there you can able to easily take up the exam. So the next is associate. architect associate, developer associate, and sysops admin associate. It's all associate level. It's complex levels, and compared to the cloud practitioner, number of questions is 65, multiple choice, multiple response, 130 minutes plus 30, which is English as a second language. Meaning is, if we are from India, then probably English is a second language for us. So they are giving an bonus minutes of 30 minutes, which we can opt for it during the registration of the exam. If you don't want, you can uncheck it, but it's good to have that 30 minutes because more scenario based questions will be there. So we can opt for this additional 30 minutes apart from the default 130 minutes of duration that's offered for this associate level. So every exam is having an eligibility to take up the 30 minutes as an additional time during the registration of the exam. So you need to enable that, and that is coming under the English as a second language option. And the cost of exam is $150, and we do have the testing centers and online proctored. The next is all about professional. There are two professional certifications, as I have already mentioned, architect professional and DevOps engineer. 75 questions are there. The format is all the same. 180 minutes plus 30 ESL, $300, and Pearson VUE testing centers and online proctored are the delivery mechanisms. The next is all the specialty. If you look at the specialty certifications, it's all about 65 questions as in this case, which is mentioned, and we have time durations varying. It's all specialty certifications, 170 plus 30 for advanced networking, 170 plus 30 and 170 plus 30 for security and SAP on AWS, wherein data analytics, database and machine learning, it's 180 plus 30 because it depends on the complexity level. They have given a different timings, which is 180 plus 30. So all certification will come up with additional 30 minutes if we are considering English as a second language. And the cost is $300, which is same as professional, but associate levels are alone $150, cloud practitioners is $100, and all certifications are available on testing centers, physical testing centers, and online proctored is also available. So here I have given a complete explanation. So this is taken from the official website of this policies before testing URL of the amazon.com/certification portal. So if you go there, you'll be getting more details about the English as a second language. A 30-minute exam extension is available upon request to non-native English speakers when taking an exam in English. The accommodation is ESL plus 30, only needs to be requested once prior to register for an exam. It will apply to all future exam registrations with all test delivery providers. To request this accommodation, please follow these steps. So then how to schedule the exam is also mentioned here, and specific site portal is also available to have more details on it. And I've also listed out the each certification's URL, and this will be there on the descriptions of this video, so you can have a quick access to them, and you can better make use of this links to have more understanding of each and every certifications. So for all the 12 certifications, I've mentioned the links, and you can go through and have a walkthrough on it before you appear for the exam. So now let's go ahead and have a quick look. So this is the base certification exam link offered by AWS. So here you can see all the 12 certifications are offered, and what is the cost is also mentioned here. So this includes all the specialty, professional, and as well as the foundational and associate. If you click on each and every certificate, you will be redirected to that specific certification, and they have given the complete details here. How many minutes each exam is, what level of the exam you are taking up, is that foundational, associate, or is that specialty, how many questions are there, and what is the delivery method, and what is the cost of the certification as well. And also you will be having the option to download the exam guide, and also you can get more details from the guide, and what concepts will be asked from each and every exam, how many percentage of questions will be asked from each section of that assessment, and the topics details are also mentioned here, so you can make use of this exam guide for a better understanding. And also you have some sample questions, very minimal number of questions, but you will get some idea how it will be. So if you look at the cloud practitioner certification, it's all about some basic questions will be asked, one liner or two lines of questions alone, and it will be easy to complete this exam. So minimal preparations is more than enough to clear the cloud practitioner certification. So the same way you can go for associate, and there also you'll be having the details of the exams, and also you'll be having the option to download the exam guide and sample questions. So this is what I have mentioned here as a link. So every exam link is offered here, and this will be kept in the descriptions of this video as well for your quicker access. So the next URL which I mentioned is the policies before testing. So just go through this. This is a very important link, and the portal is going to give you a complete clarity on taking up the exam and what is the cost of each and every exam. And here is where they have mentioned the details about the ESL as well. So you can just have a look at that here. So this is all about scheduling, rescheduling, and so on. So here it is, English as a second language, as they've mentioned. So this is what I've already explained on the slides as well. So then you will be having the accommodation of Pearson VUE testing centers, and also you can schedule the exams. So and how to reschedule the exam option is also explained here. So if you're going for testing centers, you can reschedule it. You can inform that person, testing person, to reschedule it. So they'll be helping you out to reschedule. So I guess you'll be having option to schedule it for a maximum of one time. So ensure that you appear on the specific date that you've booked for. So when you get the voucher, minimum of I guess it's going to be a 1 year of validity for an exam voucher. So if you go for testing centers, 2 to 3 days before, you can book the exam online itself, and then you can go to the specific center and appear for it. So don't register it much earlier, because you don't know what will be your preparation level is. So based on the preparation level and on your confidence, please go and appear for the exam. Better schedule the exam 2 to 3 days before, once you're ready for the exam. So once you schedule it much earlier, then if you feel that you need more preparations, then you have to reschedule that exam, and you'll be losing the options of rescheduling the exam if something goes at the time of taking the exam. So it's better you go for rescheduling it very closer to the date when you're very confident of taking up the exam that you have selected for, right? So this is the base informations which I wanted to share. I hope this would have been an informative informations. Through this video, you would have got some base understanding of which certification should we go for, and what is the methods to appear for the certifications as well. What are the certification details? I've given a more clear clarity on that as well. So hope with this video you'll be having more interest towards taking up the certification as well. So I'll catch you up with another interesting video. So until then, have a great day. Thank you so much.